I like cliches. Just give me a cliche, but change one element of it. Time travel? Eat it up butterfly effect. Let's make it so that it's the same exact story, but one of them is a lesbian.
Sing to me, Rato, muse of fanfiction, and the things we look for, and the tropes we devour. Sing of the paragraphs, the charts, and the crossovers we love. Welcome to FanDive. My name is Chaos.
And my name is Andy, and we're not explaining why that's as funny as it is.
Yeah, no, okay, like, let's be real. We know which muse is in charge of AO3. We know who it is, and it's Erato.
Yeah. That's not what we're talking about, though.
I mean, we kind of are. We're talking about, it's kind of just like a vague, let's talk about fan fiction episode, but we're really narrowing it down of like, yes, fan fiction. What makes it work for us?
What makes it work? What gives it appeal to people? What gives it appeal to us specifically?
When you're scrolling through AO3, why are you picking that fan fiction out about all the others? Like, yeah, like what is it?
There's a lot of different topics of fanfiction we could play upon, but that's what we mean by we're talking about fanfics in general today, is fanfics. Let's go. We love them. Why do you love them, Chaos?
I love fanfiction because I love fiction. It's weird. Like, I got into reading through fanfiction. Like, I enjoyed some anime, I enjoyed some manga, and then I discovered fanfiction.net, and then I discovered AO3, and then it really wasn't until end of high school, early college that I started like reading physical novels. Like that, it was through fanfiction that got me into reading. I'm dyslexic. You think I was going to pick up a book?
That's fair. It's fair. I'll just have such a different experience.
I didn't read Percy Jackson until I was 18.
Fair enough. It's a good book.
It's a good book, and now I'm reading it to my students, and they're actually like sitting down and listening, and I'm like, oh my, I won the special ed game.
I love reading fan fiction specifically because I read a lot, and I mean a lot. I'm almost always reading, even in school. I always had several books. I had to have a maximum amount of books that I could check out from the library type thing. Fanfiction is like getting your own books, but you don't have to reinvest yourself into new characters.
Yeah, when you finish a good book or finish any piece of media, really, and you close it, that doesn't have to be the end.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You finish the book, and it's a really good book, and you just go, Papa, more,
please. More, and
more,
sometimes
please.
There isn't more, and you have to do it yourself. But congratulations, there's now more once you've made it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I love fanfiction as much as I do, because I can just take the same characters repeatedly and play dolls with them and go, and these ones, they go into a house and they live happily ever after because they don't get it in their main story. And these ones were happy in their main story, so they're going to murder each other.
Yeah, me and Mal were talking back during our Danny Phantom DC crossover episode where it was like, why are the vibes here so separate? It's like, if your story is happy, it's going to be sad in fan fiction. And if your story is sad in fan fiction, it's going to be, or you know what I mean. We flip-flop.
Yeah, exactly. You will also get the mix of both, because there are some that will just do post-canon and be nice. But I don't... But it really depends on what fan base it is, if I'm drawn towards post-canon or if I'm drawn towards this happened. I like AUs. I really like AUs.
I find that if you get a piece of media that has a concrete ending, like you begin a piece of media and then you end it, and you can do that within like the same sit-down period of time, then you're going to get a lot more post-canons. But if you're something like a TV show or an ongoing series, or again, like an anime or manga, where people can pick up and end literally wherever, you're going to have a lot more AUs and scatterbrains and Minecraft content.
Yeah, because like one of the classics that a lot of people read fanfiction for is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let me tell you, what time and place they're in, oh boy, has very little to do with the actual movies.
It's like the one time I ever saw in the MCU where fan fictions were specifically doing post canon was after the Avengers, and that was just like, and yeah, and they all continued to live in Stark Tower happily ever after, because like a lot of people felt like that was the ending of it, even though there was a to be continued and stuff announced. It was just like, it felt like a very good conclusion for that plot line, and therefore you get post canon.
And some people just stayed there forever.
And they stayed there forever because everything after that was sad, and they didn't want that sad. They got their happy fan fiction.
They said, we're going to put you all in a house together and you're going to play house with each other or else. You got it?
And fan fiction doesn't even need to make sense in the context of the story, because like, if you actually go back and rewatch the Avengers, those people did not get along. They were not friends. No. They would not live happily ever in a house. But that doesn't matter, because people could start dissecting these characters and pick and choose which character parts they liked, and sometimes they had to make things up because that character didn't get enough screen time to get any sort of dynamic or multiple parts about them that they could then look at.
And a lot of times the author, the fan author, is projecting onto one of the characters in one way or another, because fanfiction is that for a lot of people, is processing their experiences through characters they're already familiar with. So in a lot of those, you'll see character traits that are just slightly askew from how they were shown in the original media, because it is that character. But also, we got some of that author sprinkled in there. And you've got to go, yeah.
I have a friend right now who is turning their, I think it was like a Voltron AU that they had written that like got pretty like notably amount of traction. Nothing huge, but it was enough that they had momentum to finish the story. And now they're like, I loved this story. And quite frankly, I didn't write the characters. I just used their name. And so now it's a legitimate question of like, well, it wasn't AU already. Should I just kind of like rework this to be its own story? Because it is pretty good.
It's happened before where somebody wrote a whole fan fiction and then went, actually, I want to write a novel about this.
Actually, yeah. I mean, we've all heard about those fan fictions that have turned into books. 50 Shades of Grey or whatever. It's a pretty famous one of those, but that happens so rarely. It comes from like, did you write this about the characters, or did you write this and then use the character names? And that's a whole dynamic we could talk about, but whatever.
It's not going to be the first fanfiction I ever read, but it was earlier on when I was reading. There was a book that I had interesting teachers, just let's leave it at that, who presented this where it was a Sherlock Holmes story, and it's considered one of the stories, but it was a fanfiction about Sherlock. Older fanfiction, but a fanfiction about Sherlock.
I heard a story once, I don't know how true it is, but like it was like either Iceland or Greenland where they had a version of Dracula that was not Dracula. The version that got translated was straight up fan fiction. And I find that so interesting, how someone's interpretation of a piece of media can completely change it. And well, if you don't have the original copy to go off of, and that looks close enough from what you've been told, yeah, sure, I can accept that.
Yeah. I mean, that's how word of mouth goes, really. And what is fan fiction but a new version of, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened? Oh, that happened? I don't remember that actually going. No, it did. Trust me.
I have this series, let's just say, I might have brought it up a few times. It might be almost 70 parts long right now, where I recommend fan fiction that I have read and enjoyed. And a lot of people always like, where do you find these good fan fictions? Thank you so much for these recommendations. You always have good stuff. How can I find more? I'm like, you read. You open up AO3 and you read. And you go go through the bad ones. You'll find good ones eventually, but you have to read them all.
Yeah, I recommend using AO3 because you can sort it even better than you think. Like, if you want someone that a lot of people are invested in, you can go, okay, I don't want it to have main character death, I don't want it to have other stuff, but I want it to be popular, so I'm going to sort it by bookmarks, and the number one bookmarked one from that fan base, without the things you don't want, will appear on top. So if you want the most popular, most loved ones, congrats, you can just get them on top. But if you want something more niche, then guess what? You can find that too. Introducing the AO3 sorting system. It's great. Use it.
I have had some issues where I would be in fandoms where I'm really enjoying this one side character, but everyone loves the main character, you know? That happens a lot
Mhm.
when you have an actual main character, right? And so I want to find a fanfiction about the side character and I put it in to only fanfictions with this character, and still stuff would show up about the main character. So what you actually have to do
Mhm.
is put that character name in the search bar, not in the filter system, because that way it will show up in like the title or the description. And if that character's name doesn't show up in the title or the description, which you know it kind of should if it's about that character, then it won't
Mhm.
show up.
And also, if this will knock out a whole lot more, so I would only recommend it for some of the larger fandoms. Um, you can say character name centric, and for those larger fandoms, they will specify centric, who is our main character in this fanfiction. That knocks out a lot of ones where it's just not tagged that way, because even fandom to fandom, how they tag the stories is a little bit different. We got our crossover stuff that it's just no beta. We die like fill in the blank, but but there are still things you can do of I want this character centric or don't give me this character centric or blah 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 blah.
Blah blah blah
But
blah blah.
tagging is great. Tag your stories.
Tag your stories, and also people use tagging as like a dialogue, and I don't love that. But also, when you're scrolling through AO3, how do you read like the stories that pop up for you? Because for me, I read description first, then the title, then the tags. And so by the time I get to like the bottom of the tags where the author is like, and then this happened, or this character is only tagged because they're kind of mentioned, but they are plot relevant, where I'm like, I mean, yeah, I've gotten that by that point.
hmm I typically look at the little warning squares of rating, um, pairing, that stuff. Then I'll look at the title, the description, and tags. Because for me, I am more particular about what is and is not in the story. So let me know the warnings immediately. If this is an explicit story, I gotta move on.
I'm gonna be. I care so little about like. Again, it's a matter of like, does the description sound good? Okay, I'll click on read it. Literally, nothing will get me to ignore a fan fiction faster than the description just being, well, the title says what it is. I'm like, no, it doesn't. I'm not reading the title. I'm scrolling past your fan fiction.
See, that doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. I will say it will bother me if it's like 100k word story, but if it's like a chat fic, like a crack chat fic.
I don't like chat fics for some reason. Like they've never hooked my brain, and maybe that's because I never really did group chats when I was younger, and I didn't really get into Discord until like again late high school, early college. So group chat settings not for me. So I don't love group chat fan fictions.
I understand chat fic things aren't for everyone, but sometimes you just need a really stupid mischaracterization of everyone, and it's great.
And it's great. What you brought up before we started recording that you had some tropes you wanted to talk about. I'm not a big like trope heavy person, but it sounds like you are.
I I like canon divergence. Um, I really enjoy the concept of the butterfly effect and what little changes can affect massive things in stories. So I really enjoy tropes in the way of let's change something, let's put one thing else. What if this was at play? I don't know. I don't think I actually had any specific ones in mind when I said that. I thought, yep, I like identity reveals. The I like cliches. Just give me a cliche, but change one element of it. Time travel? Eat it up butterfly effect. Let's make it so that it's the same exact story, but one of them is a lesbian.
I'm trying to think of like any tropes right now, and I'm suddenly blanking on all of them.
I know people really enjoy enemies to lovers. I've only really enjoyed it in one story in particular. Probably because I don't focus on romance stories, but that kind of thing is great. The I didn't know where else to go trope of injured person going to person they didn't like or weren't close to. Just I didn't know where else to go. That one's a pretty good one. But that's because I enjoy the hurt comfort.
Yeah, I guess anytime a character has to go hang out with the villains. I mean, we've talked about how much I love the evil dark side trope, but like, you're right, like I didn't have anywhere else to go where someone who was once fighting against a villain has to show up at the villain's doorstep and go like, you're literally the only option. And the villains go, what did you get into? Like that's a pretty good trope. I do like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't enjoy every trope, but I do enjoy some of the patterns. Wow, I'm going. This is totally a me thing. I love patterns in my stories. I love predicting what's going to happen, and then I love subversion of expectations, which is part of why I enjoy some of those go to the villain things. Because why are you here? There was a particular story I read a while ago where the main character got kidnapped, but was on his way home from grocery shopping, and went, "Oh, hey guys, can I heat up my soup in your microwave?" And they were just kind of, I mean, I guess.
I mean, if you're
You
just so normal about an unnormal situation, people don't really know how to react. And so they just kind of go along with your normality.
And I really enjoyed that one because the villains were just like, we kidnapped this boy. He's making soup and tea for everyone, and he's brushing our hair, and it's kind of really nice.
Oh, you know what? We're talking about fan fiction. Should we bring up the Mary Sue, or at least explain what that is to people?
Sure, I'm gonna leave that to you to explain.
So the Mary Sue is a very gendered term for, quite frankly, something that isn't actually that gendered, and it's just when the author puts functionally a self-insert into a story. This can be fictional, like in terms of fan fiction, or fictional in the terms of like an actual book that they're writing. Like, that character, so Mary Sue, it means so it's God's favorite princess, essentially. It's someone who's like, the author loves this character because it's meant to be their representation, and this person is like super cool and super overpowered and will always win because the plot wants to protect them. It sounds like I'm defining a protagonist, and it's kind of like I am, because people look at female characters and think that they're worse.
So I would like to say I have a slightly different experience, probably because I watched what's it called? Miraculous Ladybug. Some of those fanfictions are not good. But I always defined it as, here is your protagonist. She can do no wrong and is perfect at everything, but she's such an awkward little bean. It's kind of that thing where it's really, at the end of the day, not doing any harm. And
I find that falls more under the concept of adorkable, which is something that like Disney's been getting flack for recently, where look at this cute character who's so dorky and she can do no wrong, and that feeling, right?
Sure, but the Mary Sue to me versus that is the perfect, as in we pretend we're not perfect, but we can't get anything wrong. So it's the kind of person where, yeah, awkward middle schooler, but also is secretly a princess and knows kung fu and secretly runs a criminal organization and this, that, the other thing. Well, to me, it just sounds like people learning about stories for the first time. It seems like a younger audience. I don't find any harm with it.
Yeah, there's nothing bad. People just throw it out there because they think, oh, that's such a sign of fan fiction. I'm like, yeah, because that's how a lot of people learn how to write. It's by rewriting stories and then making it more interesting to themselves.
And I will say this, it's not something I'm going to search out at any point. It's really not, because I enjoy some of the longer stories. I enjoy the butterfly effect type thing happening. I enjoy the large AUs of we're in space now, we're in fantasy now. I enjoy those things. But every once in a while, it's just really nice to read something that clearly a 12-year-old got online and wrote and put the whole heart into making this, and the grammar doesn't work great, and the spacing is a little bit awkward, and we keep repeating the same sentences, but boy oh boy did this preteen put the whole heart into this story. It's fun sometimes, because some of you would disagree, but we have all been there. We have all been that awkward preteen child just putting absolute nonsense into the world. And not all of us will have posted anything about it. Some of us were just telling each other stories in the gravel rather than online, but we've all been that child. And it's kind of admirable, adorable to just read the most awkward stories because they have such soul in them compared to some of others.
Yeah, okay, this is so gonna like date this episode, but Dancing with the Stars, right? The past few seasons, they've consistently had like this older, kind of nostalgic-esque star, like somebody probably from a movie or a comedy that people used to absolutely adore. He's older now, he can't really dance. That's a very common thing for Dancing with the Stars to bring on. But these past few seasons,
Yeah.
the people they've done that to, the stars that they've brought on, have just clearly been having the most fun. They're not good at dancing. They have physical limits, but the joy that they are bringing to the dance floor, people continue to vote for them and they continue to stay on well past when they should have left. They're competing against people who honestly are acting like professionals, and you know, that guy's out there doing like the robot and everyone's cheering for him because it's not good, it's fun, and that's the point of it all.
And if I want to read something serious, I can pull out a non-fiction novel. No, I can pull out a non-fiction book or a big professional novel or reread the Odyssey or Frankenstein. I can read quite serious stories, but fanfiction is about having fun with it. It's about playing with the dolls and seeing what other people come up with and see the ideas that people latch onto. Because with fanfiction, you can find out the things that humanity is thinking about in the moment and what most people are processing through. You can find out when you're reading thousands upon thousands and thousands of these, the stories that people lean into, the stories people desire. Watch the author's notes of this happening, that happening, and just get a view into the creativity of humans. And it's not so polished as a number of professional looking things. It's more human to me, in my opinion. And I really love that freedom of story writing. Do what you want, pick what you want. Congrats. Are they gay now? They're always gay now. That's just how it works in fan fiction. Because they wouldn't put it in normal media. And so in all of those stories where it was implied from decades ago, people would go, got it, and then make non-official stuff of the implied relationships. That's part of why it's so much more common to find queer stories online, is because that's where they could be represented and we could talk about it. Though that's a different topic.
There's this whole conversation going on. It started mostly because of Kingtober, of like the morality of fan fiction and writing things that are morally unjust. I'm like, but fan fiction and fiction in general is a place to explore those kind of topics. Like, I love fan fiction that deals with mind control and loss of autonomy, because look at the world we live in now. I'm not at all in support of that, but the way you can start psychoanalyzing humanity as a whole based off of like certain things and certain tropes, that I love that. Like, you know, that we need to talk about it, we need to digest it, and doing it in a safe space, that's good.
People process a lot of what they've been through these stories. They're projecting onto characters, and sometimes it's a lot more obvious than other times. But sometimes it's just a story about feeling lack of control, and almost everyone can take a moment of solace in, sometimes we don't feel in control, and this story, we are okay with it. And sometimes it's comfort because the character isn't in control and then finds their way through and gets hugs and kisses and whatever the heck else. But other times this is sad, and that's what it is. And just acknowledging it and letting people process their emotions through that as well.
And that's fan fiction. And please hit enter twice when writing on AO3, or else it will just become one giant block, and I cannot read one giant block. Dramatic. Yeah. New paragraph should start every time someone talks. I've been reading too many fan fictions, not well formatted recently, but okay.
It's fine. They're having fun. It's fine.
Should we move on to the Q&A?
Sure. I love stories.
I love stories.
I love stories. That's my little musical sound for today. I love stories. Stories.
All right. Question number 1 from Aries on Mars. Apparently it's not Aries Sun Mars. Like, what do you mean I was
I
adding an
told
extra
you
S?
so. I told you.
Any tips for people who are dealing with writing burnout?
Do it anyway. Like,
I counter that. Take a break. If you're dealing with burnout, do something else. It can still be writing related, but don't work on a thing that you are feeling burnt out about.
Okay, I will change what I said slightly. I say do it anyway in a way that is don't just abandon it. I typically can deal with the burnout by doing something else with the characters. Like this isn't something I've done, but your characters that you're writing about, congrats, go into The Sims and make them and play around with them in The Sims. Don't stop, as in, take a moment and write 2 sentences when you have a stupid idea in the Notes app. And if the Notes app is full of, I don't know, they cry or something, then congrats, you're still writing. And you need to keep doing that. That's what I typically do with burnout for writing, is play around with him in a different way. Oh goodness. I don't know if I actually suggest this, but the kind of idea of take your character and do BuzzFeed quizzes of which Disney princess are you, with your character in mind.
I think the last time I had to deal specifically with writing burnout, like I've dealt with Minecraft burnout a few times, and it's always been I have to do something else in Minecraft for 5 minutes. But in terms of writing burnout, for me, here's my issue. I've scrapped and rewritten the same story multiple times, and I'm finally getting to the point where I'm forcing myself to make an actual outline so I don't do that again. And I feel like once you have an outline, it does actually make writing easier. Unfortunately, it's a strategy that really works. Because, yeah, if you have burnout about this chapter, jump ahead 3 chapters and start writing a different scene.
So really, I like to just quite literally play around with the characters one way or another and just explore more about the world in a different way. So it's not so much focusing on the words, because you can get inspired from just, I'm going to do a watercolor painting of them playing in the snow.
But also get some sticky notes and red string and cover your walls with your story. Like, that's also an option.
So different ways that we do it.
Just don't force yourself through that sentence that you're staring at, because sometimes that is the problem.
That is, but don't force yourself to continue as you are. Find a new way to approach it. Sit down with a cup of hot cocoa and cry until it works.
And just cry. Sometimes, honestly, put a 5-minute timer on your phone and just cry for 5 minutes. And when that timer's up, go wash your face and sit down and write again.
Now tell me, how did that feel? Put it onto the character.
It was so helpful to get through my undergrad exams, was just setting a 5-minute timer to cry. I'm like, oh, I can fit this into my schedule to have a mental breakdown. Mind-blowing.
Okay, well, I'll have to tell my therapist about this technique.
It was during the pandemic, okay? I was trying a lot of things.
No, it's totally fair. It's totally valid. I don't know if it is a burnout technique, but you know what? If it works for you, it works for you. And you're not hurting yourself, so by all means, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Question number 2 is actually kind of a combination of a couple different questions we've had before. So we have Circle, who's asked, like, maybe you could talk about shipping. We've had a person who's like, can you do an episode about shipping and who you ship, specifically Minecraft? And another person, actually, I think it was a person again, who was like, a Minecraft ship? Minecraft? And I think the answer to that is the relationship. That's a boat. It's a ship.
It was a boat. It was a boat.
It was a boat. Yeah, we keep saying that we'll talk about shipping.
What is the question, Chaos?
The question is shipping in the context of fan fiction. Where do you stand? What do you ship? Do you look for any?
Honestly, any. I don't think of specific ships. I'm a little more tedious about it in the Minecraft fandoms, because I believe you've got to do carefully. That it can absolutely be done tastefully, but it can also be done not so tastefully. That speaks in romance in general. I really enjoy. Oh, this is going to sound slightly strange, but some people are going to agree with me. I really love when they sit down and have communication with each other. I eat that up. I don't care which ship it is. Give me some healthy communication there. Yeah, I like enemies to lovers, but I also love disgruntled person getting dragged along, but the second the person who's dragging them along gets hurt in one way or another, they're like, how dare I care about this? Anyway, you're gonna die now because you hurt my friend. I enjoy that kind of thing. If somebody's disgruntled, I'm happy.
I always have such a hard time with like when people ask me, "Oh, who do you ship?" because I don't. I just kind of accept what's around me. It might be the whole like I'm probably a romantic situation where it's like I don't view ships in the same way most people do. If I think two people have an interesting dynamic, whether that be platonic or enemies or lovers, it's the same situation for me, you know? And if we have that like sad wet cat of a protagonist knocking on the villain's door, that could go platonic as like I'm gonna help you through this situation, or romantic. Like that story change means very little to me. So that's kind of why I've always had a hard time talking about ships, because I'm like, I don't know, man, do they kiss or hold hands? Sometimes bros do that, man.
I can enjoy shipping. I understand it more than you do. I am Arrow Ace, but I do enjoy some of that connection. But I enjoy it as close connection that is difficult to get with friends. If it's just a platonic, very close connection, just as delicious. But I do enjoy it because I enjoy some of that tension, I guess, in the way of do it, communicate, tell them,
Communicate.
tell them, no, communicate, do it. I believe in you. I believe in you. I think you're pretty. Pretty what? What's going on? Pretty cool?
Pretty
I'm not
cool.
cold. It's pretty warm in here, actually. Well, you're hot too, but I love that kind of thing. It's just silly. I enjoy wholesome relationships. That's what I'll say. I enjoy a good, I'll protect you, you protect me, a good, you had a nightmare? Pat, 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 come in bed.
I I'm going through all the fandoms in my head trying to think of like, are any here I actually have a standout ship for? Because I know a lot of people love that whole Third Life Desert Duo situation. I'm like, I just see that as like, yeah, that's how that dynamic played out. But like in terms of like, this is a ship I will actually like go, yeah, I get that. I would ship that. It's Hiei and Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho. Look at me and tell those two haven't just like, they're gonna spend eternity together. How that's gonna play out, couldn't tell you, but they're gonna spend eternity together.
I am more inclined to like a ship if it has a funny little name.
Oh, that's so true. I honestly, I got a little burnt out on duo names, especially now that I'm like, well, these two people have had an interaction, so now we have to give them a duo name. I'm like, no, we don't. No, we don't. But ship names, they're pretty good.
I'm gonna tell you, Joel and Lizzie are having a great time. I can confidently say I love those. Not even fanfiction wise. That has nothing to do with fanfiction. I just love that they
They
chose.
picked their ship
Yep, they
name,
chose
and
that.
it is in fact not something we can say on YouTube.
I'm not saying it.
We are also on Spotify and Amazon Music, because I know apparently a lot of people think we're only on YouTube. We're other places, you guys.
It's true, we are.
I'll get to other websites eventually when they stop being mean to me.
When they stop being mean to you.
Apple Music will not let me create an account because I have a malware blocker on my computer. I'm like, I'm not opening up Apple Music if you're not letting me do it without disabling my malware protector.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother rant. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't know if I think of specific ships. I enjoy specific ship dynamics, but really, as long as it's written well, I'm not gonna complain about this person.
Yeah, whatever. Like those two guys from Road to El Dorado, yeah, they're probably in a relationship. I can see that.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yep, I get it. I get it. Listen, I know that we do talk about Minecraft a lot. I cannot get on board with writing romantic things in the desert, specifically because all I can think about are the grains of sand they have in their shoes. And if you have wings in the desert, every little crevice is full of sand, and I can't pay attention because I'm just imagining the sensory nightmare there would be sleeping there.
Okay, but think about Vampires SMP and how like the
Mm.
content creators are in more of a shipping war than the actual fandom itself. The fandom's like Scott has two hands and could probably make more if he wanted, and everyone like everyone like looks around and they see the content creators like actively like fighting it out at TwitchCon, and I'm like, you
Yeah,
guys,
yeah, yeah.
your actual girlfriends are standing next to you. One of you is about to get married.
I love it. It comes up so often in fanfiction things, but it also comes up a whole lot in Minecraft things for some reason, where it's like, here is Scott, and here's Scott's boyfriend Cam, and here's Scott's other boyfriend Jimmy, and here's Scott's other one, Shelby, and
And here's Abbott
here's
and
Jimmy.
Owen and Legs, and they're all gonna hold hands in a circle and like walk around.
I read a really good vampires fic that was just them nesting. It was just Scott turned the first couple people. It was just like, bring them into my nest.
It's gotta pile time whether you
Yeah.
like it or not.
And then the shovel comes along and is like, you didn't tell me you were a vampire. And he was like, that's what you're offended by? Not that I am one, but I didn't tell you. And she goes, yeah, can I come into the nest? And he's just instinctual. Well, actually,
Well,
you
actually,
need to feed the babies.
that would be so
The
helpful.
young vampires can drink from her. Are you okay with that? And she's like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah,
Consent.
yeah. I just like it when they're all friends, and sometimes they're stabbing, but they're stabbing because they're friends, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get it. I get it. Sometimes your friend gets stabbed and you go, hey, that was rude. And sometimes your friend
Hey.
gets stabbed and you go, kill an interdimensional god.
All right. Well, question number 3 from Aries on Mars. What/who got y'all into Minecraft, specifically live series and stuff like that?
Okay, specifically life series, I'm actually going to say my sister. I got into Minecraft because of some early Minecraft YouTube people who I'm no longer talking about. But I got into it pretty early on in the Minecraft sphere. Live series specific. I was watching Hermitcraft off and on. My sister was like, "Hey, those people that you watch are doing this series, and I'm watching it too." And I went, "Oh, my family is watching it. I must watch the entire thing so that I can tell them all about it and exactly what they're seeing." And so it then became a tradition of me enabling making prediction charts of who will be placed where for the series
I
whenever a new
don't
series starts.
know how I got into Third Life. I feel like it was more of like, yeah, Dream SMP is dying and everyone's moving on to Hermitcraft, and people keep saying I look a lot like Grian, so I'll look into Grian, right? And it was,
Mhm.
I think it was right around the time Third Life ended because I wasn't there for it airing. So I think I just went back and watched it. Like again, I got
Yeah.
brought into the Minecraft space because I saw a Tommy in it fan art and I was never free again. Okay, this is my life now.
Yeah, no, I was here much before Chaos ever arrived on scene. I was there devouring the stuff.
I kicked
And
down
so
the
I
door
was
and I said, "Pay attention to me."
watching like Green and stuff years before the live series started. So I was familiar. And so I don't know if I watched it as it was coming out. I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did, but I'm not certain on that. But I remember I like got fully into it during Double Life. But like before then I was watching and I was like, yeah, this is nice. I like this. And then Double Life happened and I went, I
I
want
think
to.
actually the day I
This is 'cause it was
decided
me.
to watch Korean, like my first ever Hermitcraft episode, was his season 7 finale. And I opened it and he was like, "This is the end." And I'm like, "Oh, I missed it."
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, I've watched them for a while, but who I focus on in the Minecraft YouTube community shifts and changes as different people become more popular, as different people post less. It really depends. Life changes. And that switch to primarily live series happened around season 8 for me. And the animation of how far we've come. Oh boy, I was sealed in, never came back.
The amount of people who got into Hermitcraft because of how far we've come, or we've come, yeah.
That was absurd to me. Because again, I had been watching it It just wasn't my main thing I was watching at the time. And then that animation happened, and suddenly there was a burst of people who were from these other parts of Minecraft going, yes, feed us more. And I went, whoa.
I
Cool.
have, by the time this podcast comes out, it will be out already. But I have a CMV that I was a part of. And I'm also making another CMV. That's another story. But like, there's a CMV that I am in that has come out on Friday at time of upload. That is Vampires SMP. And it's on Camly Games YouTube channel. You can go check it out. I've actually been in a few of Camly's stuff. And I'll probably be in more because one of these days I'm just going to break down Camly's door. Because we're actually,
shout out Camly.
I love Camly, and we live too close to each other for me not to cause problems on purpose with you. But I just remember like the premiere went out and we started like promoting it or whatever, and someone who's like connected to Avid, like knows Avid IRL, put out a tweet saying, I'm going to send this to him the second it is released. Like, I just know that like the fan creations, they get spread about and more people see it than just in the fandom at the moment. And that is how people get into it. Again, it's that word of mouth from fan fiction. It's that word of mouth from pieces of media as a whole. That's how people find new pieces of media.
Yeah, no, almost entirely. The fandoms that I'm a part of that aren't Minecraft related, I became a part of because of the fan works, the fan art, the fan fiction, and whatever it may be, the animations. There are so many fandoms that I'm not as strongly a part of, but I certainly read from and follow, that I only became absorbed into because you guys enjoy it so much. Those fan spaces are so important and are our modern day version of word of mouth. And I'm not even talking just social media posts of go watch this thing. I'm talking literally, what are you wearing? Oh, it's merch from this. What's that? You should watch Amazing Digital Circus. And I go, what are you talking about?
My phone case is fan art of Grian, and I couldn't tell you who it's by because they didn't put their name on my phone case, which I don't know. And every time, which I really shouldn't, but every time I have my phone out at work, which again, I really shouldn't, I work with special ed kids, it will get destroyed one of these days, but every time one of like the higher functioning from the other classroom kids comes over and they see my phone case just laying about, because I really need to stop doing that, they're like, oh, who's that? I'm like, well, yeah, that's a Minecraft YouTuber, don't worry about it, because I'm trying to like
don't worry about it.
Whatever. And like they've been asking me more and more about Minecraft YouTubers, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna quickly do a vibe check on you, you're that kind of person, go watch this YouTuber, I think you'll like them. And like this one kid that I have, like I got him into watching Mumbo Jumbo last week, and he loves it, and he loves the technical Minecraft, and like this is word of mouth. This is like someone saying, I enjoy this enough that I'm showing the world this.
Yeah, I know. An example of this is I didn't hear about K-pop Demon Hunters at all. I hadn't. The only time I started hearing stuff about it was the art people were making and the stories people were making. I was like, whoa, what's happening? There's this big influx of, ooh, pretty colors.
I like pretty colors. There's a lot of movies that have come out recently that I'm like, yeah, that looks interesting. The trailer has my attention, but I never end up going to see it. But K-pop Demon Hunters has literally, it didn't need advertisements. The fans loved it so much that it was the advertisement for it.
Yeah. So I don't remember what the question was anymore.
I don't even know. We asked some question. Well, then we just... Yeah.
Hey, end of episode.
It was the end of the episode. Yay! All right. Well,
hopefully some sort of question was answered.
I think it was what got us into Minecraft. It's like, you know what? You know what?
Honestly, try not to laugh.
All right. Bye, guys.
And the kids on the playground. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of FanDive. We'll be back again next Monday diving into yet another fandom. Have a topic or question for the podcast? Head over to our website, fandive.tumblr.com. There you can also find any episode relevant images and general shenanigans that we get up to. It is Tumblr, after all. We're not afraid of being fans of things.